Hello students, in my previous oral presentation of my, or you can say the audio presentation, I discussed up to question number 10 from the Silk Road, where I described the horde, that place also. There I already discussed that part. Now let me continue with question number 11. What troubled the author at Darchen? Remember, the author suffered from cold and cough because of the higher altitude, and there was the breathing problem also, nose blockage, and apart from that he had severe headache also. So all these things are related with the altitude problem. When we travel to greater height and when there is a massive weather change, then only it becomes very difficult for our body to acclimatize with the changing weather. And it happened in the case of the narrator also, and it was very difficult for the narrator to sleep also. So let me continue at night. So let me continue with the question. What troubled the author at Darchen? So the answer goes like this. A bad cold troubled the author at Darchen. He was unable to go to sleep at night as his nostrils were blocked. I already told you there was nose blockage, and that resulted in breathing problem. When he was just dozing off, he woke up suddenly. He felt his chest becoming very heavy as he was not able to breathe in enough oxygen. He felt his chest was becoming very heavy, and he realized that he can't breathe enough oxygen. So that was the problem, breathing problem accompanied by nose blockage, accompanied by cold and cough. And remember, Shitan took him to Darchen Medical College, where a Tibetan doctor gave him some medicines, and then only he could have a good night's sleep. Now I am moving on to the second question, the next question, question number 12, and it is related with the last part that I explained in my previous question, that is the Darchen Medical College. So dear students, let us read this question first. How did the Darchen Medical College appear? That means you have to write about the appearance of the Darchen Medical College. So the answer goes like this. The Darchen Medical College was a newly renovated, or rather you can say newly constructed, and looked like a monastery. It looked like a monastery from the outside, with a very solid door that led into a large courtyard. From the outside, it looked less a medical college and more like a Tibetan monastery. And another important thing is that and it finally, the solid door led into a large courtyard, or we can say large lobby or a large platform. Now let me move on. The consulting room was dark and cold. Even there is a medical consultation room. That room was dark and equally cold. Now dear students, I am moving on to question number 13, and it is related with the problem that the author suffered from, that is the medical problem or the disease he was suffering from, and the diagnosis that was being done by the Tibetan doctor. So the question goes like this. What, according to the doctor, I told you the diagnosis that was done related with the illness from which the author was suffering from. So let me continue. What, according to the doctor, was the problem the author suffered from? According to the doctor, and he was looking less a doctor, more as a Tibetan monk, because the way his appearance, his get-up, he was not looking like a doctor who is on round in emergency ward, but he was looking like a Tibetan monk, more like a Tibetan monk and less like a medical doctor, because he was not wearing the usual normal uniform of a doctor. So let's continue. I repeat, what, according to the doctor, was the problem the author suffered from? According to the doctor, the author suffered from a bad cold as well as the effects of the altitude. Not only cold and cough, but also the effects of the altitude, higher altitude. His sinuses were blocked and he was not able to sleep at night. His sinuses were blocked and he was not able to sleep at night also. He was having some breathing problem, serious breathing problem. But the diagnosis was done and he was given a lot of Tibetan medicines to consume by that Tibetan doctor. And after consuming it, he felt better and he could sleep at night quite peacefully. So I am moving on to question number 14 now. What did the author notice at Darchen or in Darchen? In Darchen, the author noticed that the people were very relaxed and unhurried. It seems that they have a lot of time in their hands. They are so relaxed, they are unhurried. And it seems that time is moving very slowly, as well as the daily affairs of the people or the people involved in their day-to-day affairs or their daily affairs, they were also leading their lives very slowly. Now, let me continue. In Darchen, the author noticed that the people were very relaxed and unhurried, but there was a significant drawback. What was that? There were no pilgrims in Darchen, because it has been mentioned also by me when I discussed the portions from your NCERT text that was not the right season when the author visited this place. The author visited during the off season. Now I am moving on to the next question. Who was Norbu? Very, very important question it is. Who was Norbu? And the narrator Nick Middleton, he met with Norbu, and that was at a time when he was feeling very lonely because Daniel and Shitan already left him alone, because from that point of time he had to undertake the journey on his own. So they left him alone at that point of time and he was feeling very low. Even he went on reading many self-help books, but ultimately all those self-help programs were futile from his point of view. He badly needed a person with whom he can communicate in English, and it was a blessing in disguise that he found Norbu, a learned research scholar of Beijing Institute, who was a specialist in ethnic studies, ethnic folklores. We'll get to know right now. I told you, now let's see what is written in the answer. Norbu was a Tibetan who worked in Beijing at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in the Institute of Ethnic Literature. He had come to Darchen to do the pilgrimage of Mount Kailash, just like the author. So he came to Darchen to do the pilgrimage of Mount Kailash, just like the author. This was his first experience of a pilgrimage journey. That means just like the author, here also Norbu was undertaking the pilgrimage or the Koda for the very first time. Alone he came for the very first time. And later at the end of the travelogue, we found that the author and Norbu, they became partners. Now, I am moving on to the next question, question number 16. Why had Norbu come to Kailash? What was the main reason? Norbu had been writing academic papers. I told you he was also a research scholar. So, Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash pilgrimage, or you can say Kailash Koda. Koda is a Tibetan term, just like Drogba also was a Tibetan term. I explained all these things when I discussed the text with you all. So I am very sure that you know about all these terms. Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash pilgrimage and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years. But he had actually never done it himself. I already told you in the course of this question answer discussion also, he never ever had undertaken the journey himself. So this was the first time when he decided to undertake the journey all alone. So I repeat the line. Please check it. See, Norbu had been writing academic papers about the Kailash pilgrimage and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years, but he had actually never done it himself. That means he haven't actually done this pilgrimage on his own. This is the first time he came. Hence, he also was there to do the pilgrimage. So, like the author, he was also there to do the pilgrimage. Now, I am moving on to the last question number 17. How did Norbu become an ideal companion for the author? How did Norbu become exactly an ideal companion? A companion that Nick Middleton badly wanted. How did Norbu become an ideal companion for the author? The answer goes like this. Norbu was an ideal companion for the author as both were academics. Both were from the field of higher education. They were both academics. Norbu was a research scholar and he was studying the literature, the ethnic literature of folklore at the Beijing Institute of Social Sciences. And regarding Nick Middleton, I already told you he was a professor of geography in the Oxford University. So both of them are well learned. And Norbu have jokingly told that they were like those learned individuals who escaped from the library and came in the open environment. And so Norbu and the author, they can share many of their intellectual viewpoints. So we can say at the end that Norbu was the right ideal companion for the author. So I repeat, Norbu was an ideal companion for the author as both were academics who had come away from the academic work. Both were not devout believers. They were not so religious or so critically religious as we can say. So both were not devout believers and they did not intend to prostrate themselves all around the mountain like other pilgrims. Now, their intention was not to move here and there, not to prostrate or not to move here and there around the mountains like the other pilgrims. Their main intention was to undertake the journey. That was their main intention. So, that was it, dear students. Please listen to this audio presentation or oral presentation, as you might say, regarding the remaining part of the short questions from Silk Road. And if there is still any doubt, kindly communicate with me regarding that. Thank you, students. Thank you all.